So we're at the beginning of Lent, and many of you may be expecting a sermon about giving things up, in which case you'll be disappointed. And if you were here this morning, it's the second time you've been disappointed, because I will be looking instead at the challenge from the Lent course following this year, the challenge to look at our lives and take time to reassess our kingdom values. I know some people who prefer the New Testament to the Old Testament, but I love the way that God's word endures, the way that even as our society develops, and we think ourselves to become more and more sophisticated, and perhaps believe that Old Testament societies have nothing to say to us, yet we find some of the same issues. The title of this year's Lent study, Jubilee Lifestyle, comes from a very Old Testament idea of Jubilee. And I'm sure we will hear more about the concept of Jubilee later. But for today, I want to look at a small part of our lifestyle, the part which is to do with our wealth. Finances are much in the news at the moment. And like the society described by the writer in Ecclesiastes, we have layers of government, each of which is seeking to have enough money to undertake their projects. And when there is not enough money, the burden is not always spread fairly. But my focus this week is not so much on our society, but on our own lives. We are affected by the messages we receive from society, and our society is very much a consumer one. It's easy to feel that it's having the best house, the smartest clothes, the most successful children, which gives us value. But surely we also heard and agree the truths of Ecclesiastes. We are all born naked, and we can never take our wealth with us. So what is it that we strive to gain when we build up riches on earth? Ecclesiastes reminds us that many who seek riches are not satisfied when they gain them. Rather, the more they have, the more they seem to seek. Bankers may stand for the most extreme form of this in our society today, when we see those who already have millions seek to be paid millions more. But there are many at all levels of society who are never happy with what they have. It isn't that wealth is wrong. It is the seeking more and more that causes the problem. So listen to the words read at the end of the Ecclesiastes passage. This is what I have seen to be good. It is fitting to eat and drink and find enjoyment in all the toil with which one toils under the sun. And all to whom God gives wealth and possessions, and whom he enables to enjoy them, and to accept their lot, and find enjoyment in their toil. This is the gift of God. Jesus takes this further when he says, "Do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing?" Rich or poor, we can spend our time worrying about our wealth. It's hard to live from day to day without thinking of the future. And so I think we all seek to store up treasure for the future. But what is the future we are preparing for? Do we really hear what Jesus says? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Looking at where our treasure is does often tell us where our heart is. That is, if you tell me that you love your children or your husband or wife or even your dog, but you don't spend any time with them, you don't phone them or know what they are doing, then I would ask how strong your love really is. But I think Jesus is not using our treasure as a measure of our love, but rather saying something stronger. I think he's pointing out that where we seek to build up treasure, that is where our heart will find itself. The places where we choose to spend our time, to put in our effort, to give our love, these are the places that we will come to care about. This means we have the antidote to the messages of our society. We don't need money or possessions to have a worthwhile life. We simply need places and people where we wish to be. The Lent course this year is going to challenge us to consider our lifestyles, and during the course of considering lifestyles, you may be challenged to do new things, to build heavenly wealth in new places. And this passage tells us that we can do that. I think we all know the desire to spend time with those who are already important to us. And Jesus says we can come to love others as well. It's a challenge for Lent if instead of giving something up, you want to do something new. If you want to care perhaps about homeless people, but you currently don't know any homeless people, and perhaps you're even slightly afraid of them. Jesus says simply, if we can volunteer, spend time with them, come to know them, to know their plight, their problems, their fears, then we will find our hearts opening to them, and our treasure will grow and not diminish. The challenge of the Lent course is to build a Jubilee lifestyle, built on relationships with each other and with God. And this also fits with the Bishop's strategic priorities for the Diocese of Chelmsford. And his first challenge in creating a transforming presence is that of inhabiting the world distinctively. So whether we work as individuals, in groups, or as a church, this Lent, as we look at our lives and how we spend our time and our resources, we can really realise that this reflects not only who we are, but also who we want to become and who we will become. If we want to become the perfect consumer, we can spend all our time shopping. But if we want to become people whose lives please God, if we want to have lives that are full of meaning and peace, then we will give thanks to God and enjoy what we have, but we will also seek to build up our future treasures in heaven. This involves looking at our money, our time, our ethics, and more. So, if you haven't already signed up for one of the Lent groups, it's not too late to join. In fact, there are one or two leaders with us tonight. So if you haven't signed, I think there's the list. We'll be back. Who should they see?
You can see me.
See Ian at the end, if you'd like to know when they're happening. So it's not too late to join, so that you too can explore this area with others, so that by the end of this Lent, your life and our life as church may be enriched.